New York Giants fans? This is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. We are going to do another rare 2 for 2 Monday. I think normally it's a 2 for 2 Tuesday, but I wanted to have another conversation with you guys. I think the problem right now with New York Giant fans basically is the fact that, and I don't know when this has happened, but we have become such a reactionary fan base. Everything's either the top of the world or the bottom of the heap. And all I can think about is Kevin Bacon in Animal House. And a lot of people aren't going to remember Kevin Bacon in Animal House. But this basically just sums up everything the Giant fans need to understand.
Remain calm. All is well.
Not everything is the end of the world, and not everything is the pinnacle. Yes, this was a bad loss against a good football team. And you can debate whether you feel the Cardinals are a good football team or not. You can debate whether the Cardinals just pulled a giant and like we did in Seattle and, just play the game with their lives. Because they always seem to play well at MetLife. You can also go blame the fact that it was Daniel Jones. You could blame the fact it was Jason Garrett. I take the Joe Judge approach, where Joe Judge basically says we were outcoached, we were outplayed, we were out everything. And that's really what we were. But it's not the end of the world. We were never, if you think about it, we were never at any point in time guaranteed a playoff spot. We always knew it was going to be an uphill climb. But it's nice to play meaningful football in December. And that's what the fan base needs to understand. It's not that we've gotten away, from everything, because, we're still trying to be competitive. There's still 3 games left in the season. Now, of course, Washington has a much easier schedule. They have Seattle, the Eagles, and the Panthers. Now, the Seattle game is going to be a tough game. They got the Eagles in Philadelphia, and they got the Panthers at home to close out the season on the 27th. I don't think they're going to take the Seattle game. I don't know what's going to happen in Philadelphia because, honestly, Philadelphia, they went away from Wentz. They won. Is that a one-time fluke? You never know. Are they back on track? You can't say that. But right now, Washington's in the driver's seat in the division, but they still can lose. And, they do have the Panthers at home. The Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater's having, an okay season. It's a winnable game. They have 2 of 3 winnable games. Now, to our detriment, we're playing Cleveland. We're picking up Baltimore at the wrong time. And then we have the game against the Cowboys. So, it's the NFL. Anything can happen any given Sunday, but you can't go to the pinnacle one week and then turn around the next week and have yes, you know what? Teams have bad losses. It happens. I lived through the 70s. I lived through parts of the early 80s. They were bad Giant teams. And I laugh because one subscriber was like, well, I'd love to hear the stories about the 70s. No, you wouldn't. You think this is bad? You guys know nothing about bad. You know nothing. This isn't even. We haven't even reached bad status yet. We've reached a point where every team in the NFL hits a low. Even the vaunted 49ers, the Cowboys, the Dolphins, now the Patriots are going through the same thing. You hit a low. And when you hit that low, nothing's as bad as it seems and nothing's as good as it seems. And I always tell people all the time, you just got to ride it out and you just got to kind of deal with what comes your way. But right now all right, let's break down the good and the good and the Giants. The defense is still good. The defense just ran into Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, and I said this before, and I said this all week, he is not, people kept comparing him to Russell Wilson. He's not Russell Wilson. He's Russell Wilson 5 years ago. And Kyler Murray does not scramble to take off. He's not Michael Vick. He uses his legs to buy himself time and move around the pocket and find a receiver. Yeah, he did rush it for, 10 times or something for 50 yards or 5 yards to carry. But that was out of necessity. The problem with the Giants yesterday is they couldn't get off the field on third down again. And that was a reoccurring issue early in the season. So you can't sit there and say, well, the defense regressed. I don't think the defense regressed. I think the problem is when the other team has the ball a lot longer than your offense, you're going to get tired, even when you play a substitutional defense. Because you have to remember, there are still guys on the defense like Isaac Yiadom, James Bradbury, Peppers, Logan Ryan, Blake Martinez, who play almost every single snap. Carter Coughlin played a season-high 64 snaps. Leonard Williams, if you guys want to pay him, last week we wanted to pay him $84 bazillion over 4 years. Now we probably don't want to pay him anything because he had a terrible game. He's got to play more than 56 snaps. He's got to be in the 70s. But it's neither here nor there, and that's another thing. Leonard Williams has 2.5 sacks. You go on Twitter and Instagram, we have to pay him. We got to give him the money. Dave Gettleman's a genius. Well, what happened this week? Is Leonard Williams now a bum, and Dave Gettleman should now just fire himself? I mean, I find that interesting. And like I said, we need to stop being so reactionary. It's not the end of the world. I mean, like I said, yeah, it put us in a bad situation. But is it still an attainable situation? Sure. Washington can go 0-3. The best thing that I could tell Giant fans right now is what the Giants need to do is win out. If we want to make this interesting in some ways, we need to just win out. Now, I would like to see the offense do something. And I think a lot of people want to blame Jason Garrett, and they want to say, well, Daniel Jones was such a better quarterback with Pat Shurmur. Well, here's the problem with that theory. If you go back and you look at Daniel Jones's play last year, most of his touchdowns, I think like 60-something% of his touchdowns were first reads, which means he was just throwing the ball to the spot. And you know what? Sometimes in the NFL, you get lucky for an entire season. It's funny because Eli Manning was always the king of the tip pass. If a ball got tipped by Eli Manning when his throws, it was getting intercepted. I don't care if there wasn't a guy 30 yards or near the ball. Somehow it always came down to an interception because Eli just had that luck that way. And Daniel Jones, his first season, when the league didn't have any film on him, basically threw to a spot, threw to an area that came down with the touchdown. Now, the problem is the NFL, and everyone's like, well, we got to blame Jason Garrett. We got to blame Joe Judge. We got to blame Daniel Jones. No, the league adjusts to players. And I have said this a bazillion times. I've sat in meeting rooms and heard this conversation. I've sat in defensive meeting rooms, and had them talk about offensive players from the year before and how they now gathered all this film on them, and they know their tendencies, and they adjust to their tendencies because they know they like to do this on third down, they do like to do this in a certain package, and they scheme that way. And that's the problem with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones can no longer rely on tossing to the first read. There was the play as Wayne Gallman. He didn't even look at Gallman, and Gallman was open with so much space on that one play. He didn't even turn to look at Gallman. He just went and threw to the spot. Kyler Murray, if you watched him, Kyler Murray in a 3-second span would go to his first option, go to second option, look at his third option, and sometimes even go back to his first option before he made his throw. There is a difference of ability between the two quarterbacks. And like I said, I am shocked that with Jones being 6th and Kyler being 1, there's only a 5-spot difference. So we can't sit there and just blame. I don't blame Daniel Jones for being selected 6th overall. And I've said that a million times. He probably should have been taken like 59th. But you know what? Gettleman went for his guy. Gettleman rolled the dice and went for his quarterback that he probably could have got later in the draft. But you know what? I've said it a million times. When you have an opportunity to go get your quarterback, you go get them. But right now what we need to do as a fan base is just relax. Have some Black Rifle coffee. Black Rifle coffee. I can't speak today. Why? Because their holiday blend came out, and it's a medium roast, and it's freaking awesome. I'm drinking a cup right now. So, I mean, and there's no need to jump on each other because people have differences of opinions between Daniel Jones and Jason Garrett. If you are, and I've said this 100,000 times, if you're a Daniel Jones lover, you're never going to see his faults. And if you're a Daniel Jones hater, you're never going to see the things he does well. But there's no reason to go after each other. It's football. It's a game. And I think Joe Judge, like I said, Joe Judge summed it up best. We got outcoached, we got outplayed, that's all it is. And that's the philosophy that we need to take a look at. And like I said, I've been liking Joe Judge more and more every game. I like him more. I liked him more after this loss than I think I liked him during the winning streak. Because he was upfront, he was honest, he was Parcellian, Belichickian. And that's what I want out of our head coach. So, again, in the immortal words of Kevin Bacon. So let's just get ready for the Cleveland game. We got a Sunday night game. I think the NFL should have waited before they flexed to see if we won. But again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could subscribe, if you're ringing that bell, you know what it means, that'd be awesome.